My husband has been telling doctors I have dementia. I'm 28. I'm staring at my own medical file, and according to Dr. Martinez's notes from last Tuesday, I'm showing progressive signs of early onset dementia with significant memory lapses and confusion. The problem? I remember that appointment perfectly. I remember wearing my blue cardigan, sitting in the uncomfortable plastic chair, and discussing my anxiety about forgetting where I put my keys sometimes. Normal stuff. 28-year-old stuff. What I don't remember is telling the doctor that I've been getting lost driving to places I've been going for years, or that I've been leaving the stove on repeatedly, or that I sometimes don't recognize my own husband, Marcus. Because none of that happened. My hands are shaking as I flip through more pages of records I requested after Marcus forgot to pick up my prescription refills for the third time this month. Apparently, I've been prescribed donepezil, a medication for Alzheimer's patients. The notes say my husband has been very concerned and vigilant about monitoring my declining cognitive state. Sarah, honey, what are you doing with those papers? Marcus's voice behind me makes me jump. I quickly close the folder, but not before catching another line that makes my blood freeze. Patient's husband reports she has become paranoid and suspicious, often accusing him of moving her belongings. Just looking at some medical stuff, I say, turning around to face my husband of 3 years. His expression is that perfect blend of concern and gentle condescension I've been seeing more and more lately. Dr. Martinez said you shouldn't stress yourself with trying to understand all that medical jargon. Remember? We talked about this. He reaches for the folder. Why don't you let me handle the paperwork like we agreed? Here's the thing, we never agreed to that. But as I try to protest, I feel that familiar creeping doubt. The same doubt I felt last week when I couldn't find my phone and Marcus found it in the refrigerator. The same doubt from 2 weeks ago when I apparently sent my sister Jenny a completely incoherent text message that I don't remember sending. The doubt that's been growing like a tumor in my brain for the past 4 months. I just wanted to understand what the doctor thinks is wrong with me, I say carefully. Sweetheart, we've been over this. Dr. Martinez thinks you're having some early memory issues. It's nothing to be ashamed of. These things happen sometimes, even to young people. Marcus sits down next to me on our gray sectional, the one we bought when we moved into this house last year. The important thing is that I'm here to take care of you. I nod, but something feels wrong. Not just wrong, calculated. The way he says we've been over this when I distinctly remember him being vague about my diagnosis before. The way he immediately knew I was looking at medical paperwork even though I was facing away from the door when he walked in. Marcus, can I ask you something? Of course, anything. When did I first start having memory problems? Like, what was the very first thing that made you worried? He doesn't hesitate. Remember? It was back in January when you got lost coming home from your mom's house. You called me crying because you couldn't remember how to get home from a place you'd driven to hundreds of times. The confidence in his voice is absolute. The detail is specific. It should be reassuring. Except I've never gotten lost driving to my mother's house. Ever. And suddenly, I'm not doubting my memory anymore. I'm doubting everything else. I wait until Marcus leaves for his Saturday golf game before I do something I haven't done in months. I call my mom without telling him first. Sarah. What a lovely surprise. How are you feeling, sweetheart? There it is. That careful tone, like she's talking to someone fragile. Like she's been briefed. Mom, can you tell me about the last time I visited you? When I got lost? A pause. Oh honey, you don't remember? Marcus said you might not. It was so scary for all of us. My stomach drops. Can you just tell me what happened? From your perspective? Well, you called me around 9 at night, completely panicked. You said you'd been driving for 2 hours and couldn't find your way home. Marcus had to come find you in that parking lot near the old Walmart on 5th Street. You were so confused, baby. You kept asking why nothing looked familiar. I'm writing this down as she talks, my hand moving frantically across the notepad. Mom, what day was this exactly? January 18th. I remember because it was the day after your dad's birthday dinner. January 18th. I flipped through my phone calendar, going back to that date. There's an entry, movie night with Marcus, watched the Batman. Below that, a note I definitely didn't write, feeling confused today. Hard to focus. But I remember January 18th differently. Marcus said he wasn't feeling well and went to bed early. I stayed up watching Netflix and texting with my coworker Lisa about her breakup. I have the entire text thread to prove it, timestamped until 11:30 p.m. Mom, who told you about me getting lost? Did I call you that night? No, sweetheart. Marcus called the next morning. He was so worried about you, said you didn't even remember it happening. He thought we should know in case it gets worse. After I hang up, I sit in my kitchen staring at my phone. I call T-Mobile and request detailed records for January 18th. While I wait on hold, I think about what else Marcus might have told people. The records come through email 20 minutes later. On January 18th, my phone never left the cell tower range near our house. No calls to Marcus from any location. No calls at all after 6 p.m. except a brief one to Lisa at 9:15. But there is something interesting. Marcus's phone pinged towers along 5th Street that night, right around the time I supposedly called him panicked and lost. He was definitely near that Walmart parking lot. I think about the implications of this, and my hands start shaking again. Not from doubt this time, from anger. My husband staged my breakdown. I grab my laptop and start a new document, evidence log, day 1. I write down everything I can remember, every discrepancy between Marcus's stories and my actual memories. Then I do something that feels both terrifying and necessary. I hide a voice recording app in my phone's utilities folder and test it. 2 hours later, Marcus comes home with that post-golf glow, all smiles and weekend relaxation. How was your day, honey? You didn't go anywhere, did you? I worry when you drive alone now. I look at him, really look at him. The concerned husband act is flawless. If I didn't know better, I'd believe he genuinely cared about my well-being. No, I just stayed home. Actually, Marcus, I've been thinking about what Dr. Martinez said. Maybe you should start coming to all my appointments with me. You know, to help me remember things correctly. His smile gets a little wider. I think that's a great idea, Sarah. Really great. I smile back and tap the record button. The recording app becomes my secret weapon over the next week. I catch Marcus in 17 different lies about my memory episodes, everything from me allegedly forgetting my own sister's name to leaving the front door wide open all night. The problem is, I remember each incident he's referencing, just completely differently than how he tells it. Like Tuesday morning. Marcus tells our neighbor Patricia that I put salt in his coffee instead of sugar because I'm having trouble distinguishing between things that look similar. But I watched him make his own coffee that morning. He grimaced after the first sip, then added more salt when he thought I wasn't looking, just so he could show me the cup later with a concerned frown. See, honey? You made my coffee this morning, remember? I didn't make his coffee. But Patricia's sympathetic expression tells me she believes I did. The real breakthrough comes on Thursday when I decide to call Dr. Martinez's office directly. I tell the receptionist, Kim, that I need to clarify something about my medication dosage. Oh, Mrs. Thompson, I'm so glad you called. I've been wondering how you're adjusting to the donepezil. Your husband seemed so worried about the side effects when he picked up your prescription. I pause. When did he pick it up? Let me see, looks like he's been collecting them monthly since February. Always pays in cash, which is unusual, but he said you prefer it that way because of your condition. My condition. February. I've never even seen these pills. Kim, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest. When I came in last Tuesday, was my husband in the room during my appointment with Dr. Martinez? Oh, honey, you weren't here last Tuesday. Your husband came in alone for what he called a caregiver consultation. He does that monthly now. He's so dedicated, he updates Dr. Martinez on your symptoms and picks up your prescriptions. Says the appointments are too stressful for you now. I hang up and immediately call my insurance company. According to them, I haven't had an appointment with Dr. Martinez since November of last year, a routine physical where nothing was wrong. But they've been paying claims for monthly dementia consultations since February, and I've apparently been prescribed 3 different medications I've never heard of. Someone has been taking my insurance card to medical appointments and pretending to be me. Or rather, someone has been attending appointments on my behalf and reporting symptoms I don't have. That someone is my husband. I'm still processing this when Marcus comes home early from work, around 3 p.m. Surprise. I brought you something. He's holding flowers, daisies, which I'm allergic to, though I told him this years ago. I was thinking we could have a nice quiet dinner tonight. Maybe watch one of your favorite movies? Though I know you've been having trouble following plots lately. I haven't been having trouble following plots. But I nod and smile, my phone recording everything from my pocket. That sounds wonderful. Marcus, can I ask you about my medication? I found some pills in the bathroom cabinet I don't recognize. His expression shifts slightly. What pills, sweetheart? Little white ones. The bottle says donepezil? Oh, those. Yes, Dr. Martinez prescribed them for your memory issues. We talked about this, remember? You were worried about the side effects, but I assured you they'd help. We absolutely never talked about this. I would remember being prescribed medication for dementia. Right, I say slowly. And how long have I been taking them? Since February. You've been doing so much better on them, actually. Less confused. I nod like this makes perfect sense, then excuse myself to use the bathroom. Once I'm alone, I check the prescription bottle he's talking about. It's made out to Sarah Thompson, filled on February 15th at Walgreens on Morrison Street. The prescribing doctor is listed as Dr. Martinez. But according to my insurance and Dr. Martinez's office, I was never prescribed this medication. Someone filled a prescription in my name with a forged signature or fake authorization. The more I think about it, the more I realize Marcus has access to all my personal information, social security number, insurance cards, medical history. He could easily impersonate me over the phone or forge documents. I take pictures of everything, then return to the living room where Marcus is arranging the daisies in a vase. These are beautiful, I lie, already feeling my eyes start to water from the pollen. You're so thoughtful. Anything for my girl, he says, kissing my forehead. I just want to take care of you, especially now that things are getting more challenging. That night, I swallow the pill he gives me with dinner, but I palm it first and flush it down the toilet later. I wonder how many months he's been watching me take medication I don't need for a condition I don't have. And I wonder what those pills would have done to me if I'd actually been taking them all this time. Friday morning, Marcus leaves for what he calls a work emergency, and I immediately drive to the Walgreens on Morrison Street. My hands are sweating as I approach the pharmacy counter, but I need to know how deep this goes. Hi, I'm Sarah Thompson. I have some questions about a prescription that was filled here in February. The pharmacist, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, pulls up my information. Oh yes, Mrs. Thompson. The donepezil. How are you feeling on the current dosage? Actually, I'm a little confused about when I picked it up. Can you tell me what day I was here? She scrolls through her screen. Well, you weren't here personally. Your husband has been picking up all your medication since February. He has your authorization on file. She pauses, studying my face. Is everything all right? You seem more alert than he described. My heart races. What do you mean? Well, when he first came in, he explained that you were having severe memory issues and might not remember your medications. He seemed very concerned about your cognitive state. But you seem perfectly fine to me right now. Can I see the authorization form? She hesitates, then prints out a copy. The signature says Sarah Thompson, but it's not my handwriting. It's close. Marcus has seen my signature thousands of times, but the loops are wrong and I always dot my I's with circles, not dots. Ma'am, if there's been some kind of mistake or situation, we have security cameras, she says quietly. I thank her and drive straight to my bank, my mind racing. If Marcus forged my signature for prescription pickups, what else has he been signing? At First National, I asked to speak with my personal banker, Janet, who I've known since I opened my account here 5 years ago. Sarah. How are you feeling, honey? There it is again, that careful, sympathetic tone. Janet, I need to review all the activity on my accounts. Everything since January. Her expression grows concerned. Sweetie, don't you remember? We moved your accounts to joint status in March so Marcus could help you manage your finances. You were having such a hard time keeping track of things. The floor feels like it's tilting. I never requested that. Oh, but you did. You came in with Marcus on March 12th. You seemed very confused that day, kept asking the same questions over and over. You signed all the paperwork yourself. She pulls up my account. In March, I had $23,000 in savings from my job at the marketing firm. Now I have $4,300. There are monthly transfers of $3,100 to an account I don't recognize. What's this account number ending in 7734? That's Marcus's business account. You set up automatic transfers to help with his consulting business expansion. You said you wanted to support his career since yours was becoming difficult to maintain. My career isn't difficult to maintain. I got a promotion in April. Janet, I need copies of all the signature cards and authorization forms from March. 20 minutes later, I'm sitting in my car staring at my own forged signature on documents that gave Marcus complete access to my money. The handwriting is getting better, he's been practicing. But the March signatures are clearly not mine. I call my office and ask to speak with HR. Hi Monica, this is Sarah Thompson. I need to ask you about my medical leave paperwork. Oh Sarah, how are you doing? We miss you so much. Marcus updates us every few weeks on your condition. My condition. Monica, what medical leave paperwork? The FMLA forms you submitted in April? For your early onset dementia diagnosis? Marcus has been so helpful keeping us informed about your treatment progress. I never submitted FMLA paperwork. I never took medical leave. I've been working this entire time. Can you send me copies of those forms? When the documents arrive in my email 10 minutes later, I see that I applied for unpaid medical leave starting May 1st. But I worked every day in May. I was in the office yesterday. Then I realize what's happening. Marcus isn't just stealing my money and making me think I'm losing my mind. He's systematically destroying my entire life, my job, my relationships, my independence, while positioning himself as my devoted caregiver. I call my work direct line. It goes straight to voicemail. You've reached Sarah Thompson's line. I'm currently on extended medical leave. Please contact my supervisor, Janet Mills, for assistance. That's not my voicemail. I never recorded that message. My phone buzzes with a text from Marcus. How's your day going, honey? Staying home and resting like we discussed? See you at 6 for dinner. Love you. We never discussed me staying home and resting. But apparently, everyone else thinks we did. I stare at the phone, finally understanding the full scope of what he's done. Marcus hasn't just been lying about my mental state, he's been living an entire alternate version of my life. In his version, I'm a sick woman who can't work, can't manage money, can't be trusted to remember conversations or take care of herself. And somehow, he's convinced everyone else that his version is real. I spend Saturday morning doing something I should have done months ago. I drive to my sister Jenny's house unannounced. Marcus thinks I'm at a therapeutic art class that apparently I've been attending since April. Another thing I've never heard of. Jenny opens the door with that same careful expression I've been seeing everywhere, but her surprise is genuine. Sarah, what are you doing here? Should you be driving alone? Can I come in? I need to talk to you about something important. She leads me to her kitchen, moving slowly like I might break. Does Marcus know you're here? He said unsupervised visits stress you out now. Jenny, I need you to tell me exactly what Marcus has told you about my condition. Everything. She sits across from me, wringing her hands. Honey, you know this is hard for all of us. When Marcus called in March to tell us about your diagnosis. Stop. I hold up my hand. What diagnosis exactly? Early onset Alzheimer's. He said you'd been hiding it for months because you were embarrassed, but that it was getting worse. He was so worried about you. I pull out my phone and set it on the table. Jenny, I'm going to record this conversation. Is that okay? Sarah, I don't think. Please. Just trust me. She nods reluctantly, and I hit record. Tell me about the last time I visited you. The time Marcus says I didn't recognize Dad. Jenny's face crumples. It was so awful, Sarah. You came over for Sunday dinner in April, and you kept asking who Dad was. You got agitated when he tried to hug you, said you didn't know why the strange man was touching you. We were all crying. Jenny, I haven't been to Sunday dinner since February. I've been working every weekend on the Morrison account. But Marcus showed us the videos. What videos? She looks confused. The videos of you having episodes. On his phone. You were so disoriented, asking the same questions over and over. My blood turns cold. Can you describe what I was wearing in these videos? Your blue sweater with the white buttons. The one Mom got you for Christmas. I haven't worn that sweater since February. It's been in my closet with the dry cleaning tag still on it. Jenny, I need you to do something for me. Call Marcus right now and tell him you're worried about me. Tell him I showed up here confused and agitated, and you think I'm having an episode. Sarah, I don't understand. Please. Just trust me. It's important. She makes the call on speaker. Marcus answers on the second ring. Jenny? Is everything okay? Marcus, I'm so sorry, but Sarah showed up at my house about an hour ago. She seems really confused, asking strange questions about things you've already told us. She doesn't seem to remember having Alzheimer's at all. Oh God, I was afraid this might happen. Her denial has been getting worse. I'll be right there to pick her up. Actually, she left about 10 minutes ago. She said she was going to the grocery store, but Marcus, I'm worried. She seemed really disoriented. The grocery store? Jesus, Jenny, she can't be driving alone anymore. I've been trying to get her to give up her license, but she gets so upset. I'm going to go find her. After he hangs up, Jenny stares at me. Sarah, what's going on? Check the location on your phone. What time did I actually arrive here? She looks at her phone. 37 minutes ago. And when did you tell Marcus I left? 10 minutes ago. So I've been sitting in your kitchen this entire time. But Marcus didn't question your story at all. He immediately believed I was having an episode, even though you described behavior that doesn't match how I've been acting. I can see the wheels turning in Jenny's head. There's more. Marcus is about to spend the next hour driving around town looking for me at grocery stores, and then he'll come home with a story about finding me confused in some parking lot. He might even take pictures of me looking disoriented to show you later. My phone buzzes. Text from Marcus, found her at Safeway. She didn't remember driving there. Taking her home to rest. Jenny's face goes white. But you're sitting right here. Exactly. And now you know what I know, my husband is lying about everything. Jenny and I spend the next hour documenting everything Marcus has told her versus what actually happened. She pulls up text messages, voicemails, even a few photos Marcus sent her of me during episodes, photos I don't remember being taken, where I look genuinely confused or upset. This one, she says, showing me her phone, Marcus sent this in March. He said you were having a panic attack because you couldn't remember how to work the coffee maker. I stare at the photo. It's me in our kitchen, but I'm not confused, I'm crying. Real tears, real distress, but I remember this moment now. This was the morning after I couldn't find my grandmother's ring, the antique one with a small sapphire that had been missing for weeks. I was crying because I thought I'd lost something irreplaceable. Jenny, I need you to help me with something, but it might be dangerous for Marcus legally. What do you mean? I think Marcus has been drugging me. Small amounts, nothing that would show up obviously, but enough to make me disoriented sometimes. Enough to create moments where I actually did seem confused, so he could take these photos. I tell her about the donepezil prescription, about the pills I've been pretending to take. Some medications can cause confusion if you don't actually need them. And there have been mornings where I felt foggy for no reason, days where I genuinely couldn't remember small things. Jenny looks sick. Sarah, if that's true, I need proof. Real proof. And I need someone else to witness what I'm about to do. When Marcus comes home at 6 p.m., I'm waiting in the living room with Jenny. I've told him she's staying for dinner because I got confused earlier and called her crying. This fits his narrative perfectly, the sick wife having episodes, needing family support. How are you feeling now, sweetheart? Marcus asks, sitting beside me. Jenny told me you had a difficult afternoon. I don't really remember, I lie. Everything feels fuzzy. Marcus exchanges a knowing look with Jenny, the look of someone dealing with a tragic situation. Except now Jenny knows it's all theater. Well, let's get some food in you. That always helps. Marcus heads to the kitchen, and I follow, making sure my phone is recording. Marcus, can you get my evening pills? I can't remember if I took them. Of course, honey. You know I keep track of these things for you. He opens the cabinet and pulls out 3 pill bottles, 2 I've never seen before tonight. Dr. Martinez adjusted your dosage last week. This new one should help with the anxiety that comes with your condition. He shakes out 4 pills total. 2 white ones, 1 blue, 1 small yellow one. What's the yellow one? Just a supplement. Vitamin B12. Good for cognitive function. I take all 4 pills from his palm, make a show of putting them in my mouth with a sip of water, but I palm them instead. Thank you for taking such good care of me. Anything for you, Sarah. You know that. After dinner, I excuse myself to the bathroom and photograph each pill before flushing them. Then I text the photos to Jenny with timestamps. But Marcus isn't done for the evening. While Jenny and I are watching a movie, he brings me a cup of tea. Your chamomile tea, just how you like it. I don't drink chamomile tea. I'm allergic to it, it gives me hives. But apparently the sick version of me that Marcus has created enjoys chamomile tea. I accept the mug and pretend to sip it while we watch TV. Within 20 minutes, Marcus starts commenting on how tired I look. Why don't you head to bed early tonight, honey? You've had a long day. I am feeling tired, which is strange since I only pretended to drink the tea. But some of it must have touched my lips when I was faking sips. Jenny, would you mind staying over tonight? I feel like I might have bad dreams. Marcus's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. I don't think that's necessary. You sleep better when it's just us. Actually, I'd love to stay, Jenny says firmly. We could have breakfast together in the morning, like old times. I catch her eye and mouth thank you. That night, Jenny sleeps in our guest room while I lie awake listening to Marcus breathe beside me. Around 2 a.m., I hear him get up quietly. I keep my breathing steady, pretending to be asleep, as he moves around the house. I hear cabinet doors opening in the kitchen. The soft sound of pill bottles. The refrigerator door. He's preparing tomorrow's doses, I realize. Tomorrow's performance. At 3 a.m., I sneak out of bed and find Jenny awake in the guest room. I heard him too, she whispers. Sarah, we need to call the police. Not yet. I need more evidence, and I need to make sure he can't talk his way out of this. Everyone believes him, remember? I need to catch him doing something undeniable. What do you mean? Tomorrow, I'm going to confront him. But first, I'm going to let him think his plan is working perfectly. Sunday morning, Jenny and I execute our plan. She leaves early, making sure to tell Marcus loudly that she's worried about how confused I seemed last night. The moment her car pulls out of the driveway, Marcus transforms into the perfect caregiver. How did you sleep, sweetheart? You were talking in your sleep again, more of those strange dreams about people trying to hurt you. Dr. Martinez says paranoid dreams are common with your condition. I never talked in my sleep. And I slept perfectly fine, but I nod and let him guide me to the kitchen like I'm fragile. I made your favorite breakfast, he says, setting down a plate of scrambled eggs. Though I know you've been having trouble with your appetite lately. The eggs smell wrong. Not spoiled, but there's an underlying chemical taste when I take a small bite. I push them around my plate instead of eating. Marcus, I've been thinking about what Jenny said yesterday. About me seeming confused. I don't want to be a burden on you. His face immediately softens into that practiced expression of devoted concern. Sarah, you could never be a burden. I love taking care of you. In sickness and in health, remember? But what if I get worse? What if I forget you completely someday? Then I'll just have to make you fall in love with me all over again. He reaches across the table and takes my hand. Besides, we have legal protections in place now. The power of attorney documents we signed last month ensure I can always make the best decisions for your care. My blood freezes. What power of attorney documents? His expression doesn't change, but I catch a flicker of something in his eyes. Calculation. The ones we discussed with the lawyer, honey. You were having such a bad day that you don't remember, but you insisted on getting everything organized while you still could. There's no fucking way I signed power of attorney over to him. Which lawyer? David Chen, downtown. You liked him because he specialized in cases like yours. Marcus squeezes my hand. You made me promise to never let you become a burden to your family. You were so brave that day. I excused myself to call information. There is a David Chen with a law practice downtown. When I call his office, his secretary confirms that Marcus and Sarah Thompson have an appointment scheduled for this Tuesday at 2 p.m. An appointment I know nothing about. Actually, can you tell me about our previous appointments? I'm having some memory issues. Oh, Mrs. Thompson, I'm so sorry to hear that. But this Tuesday will be your first visit with Mr. Chen. Your husband called last week to set up the initial consultation for power of attorney and estate planning documents. Marcus is planning to make it official. Whatever fake power of attorney he's been claiming already exists, he's going to create the real version this Tuesday. When I return to the kitchen, Marcus is washing my barely touched breakfast plate. Feeling any better, sweetheart? Actually, I'm feeling more confused than usual today. Like things are getting worse quickly. I watch his face carefully. Instead of concern, there's something that looks almost like satisfaction. Maybe we should call Dr. Martinez. See if he wants to adjust your medications again. Good idea. Could you call for me? I get so flustered trying to explain my symptoms. Of course. Marcus pulls out his phone immediately. Dr. Martinez? It's Marcus Thompson. Sarah's having a particularly bad day today, yes, much more confusion than usual. I think we might need to discuss the next phase of her treatment plan. Next phase. I'm recording every word. After he hangs up, Marcus looks at me with what I now recognize as completely fake sympathy. Dr. Martinez wants to see you tomorrow morning. He's concerned about how rapidly you're declining. Will you come with me? Obviously. I'll need to explain what I've been observing at home. That evening, I tell Marcus I want to go to bed early because I'm feeling overwhelmed by everything. Instead, I sneak out to meet Jenny at a 24-hour diner across town. I figured out his timeline, I tell her, sliding into the booth. The lawyer appointment is Tuesday. He's going to have me declared legally incompetent and get power of attorney. Once he has that, he can put me in a care facility and take everything, my money, the house, even my medical decisions. Jenny looks sick. How is this legal? It's not, but if everyone believes I have dementia, and if he has medical documentation supporting it, and if I seem confused during the legal proceedings. I show her my phone. Look at these texts he sent my boss last week. The messages, sent from Marcus's phone to my supervisor Janet, detail my declining condition and suggest that I'll need to transition to full-time care soon. He's been laying groundwork everywhere. Jenny, I need you to do something that might get us both in trouble. What? Tuesday morning, I need you to call David Chen's office and pretend to be me. Tell them you're having a good day, mentally speaking, and you want to record the appointment for your own records since you've been having memory issues. Sarah. If I can get Marcus on tape trying to manipulate a lawyer while I'm clearly competent, I'll have everything I need. But I need a witness there who knows what's really happening. Jenny agrees, but she looks terrified. What if he gets violent when he realizes you've been faking? I've been wondering the same thing. How far would Marcus go to protect his elaborate scheme? Then we make sure other people know where I am at all times. When I get home, Marcus is waiting up. Where were you, Sarah? You said you were going to bed, but when I checked on you, you weren't there. For the first time in months, I don't doubt myself or scramble for explanations. I went for a drive. I needed some air. Honey, you know you're not supposed to drive alone anymore. What if you've gotten lost? I look at my husband, this man I've shared a bed with for 3 years, who I thought I knew completely, and I smile. Don't worry, Marcus. I know exactly where I'm going. Monday morning arrives with Marcus in full caretaker mode, laying out clothes for me like I'm a child and speaking in that slow, deliberate tone he's perfected over the past few months. I picked out your blue dress for Dr. Martinez today. You always feel more confident in blue, remember? I don't remember saying that, but I nod and let him help me with the zipper. His hands are gentle, practiced, the perfect devoted husband. It makes my skin crawl. Marcus, I'm scared about what Dr. Martinez might say today. What if I'm getting worse? Hey, look at me. He cups my face in his hands, and his expression is so convincing that for a moment I almost forget he's been poisoning me. Whatever happens, we'll face it together. I'm never going to leave you, Sarah. I promise. The word promise hits differently now. I think about all his promises, to love and protect me, to be honest, to support my dreams. Every single one has been a lie designed to make stealing my life easier. At Dr. Martinez's office, Marcus guides me to the waiting room chair like I might fall over. The receptionist, Kim, gives me that same pitying smile I've been seeing everywhere. Mrs. Thompson, how are you feeling today? Before I can answer, Marcus jumps in. She's been having a rough couple of days. More confusion, some agitation. We're hoping Dr. Martinez can adjust her treatment plan. When we're called back, Dr. Martinez greets Marcus like an old friend and barely makes eye contact with me. The power dynamic is immediately clear, Marcus is the client here, not me. So Marcus tells me Sarah's symptoms are progressing more rapidly than we hoped, Dr. Martinez says, settling behind his desk. Can you describe what you've been experiencing, Sarah? I look between the two of them, these men discussing my brain like I'm not in the room, and make a calculated decision. Actually, Dr. Martinez, I feel completely fine. I'm not confused at all, and I haven't been having memory problems. Both men exchange that look, the one that says the patient doesn't understand her own condition. Sarah, sweetie, we talked about this in the car, Marcus says gently. You were asking me who Dr. Martinez was and why we were coming here. I absolutely did not ask him that. But Dr. Martinez is already writing notes, probably documenting my denial and lack of insight into my condition. It's very common for patients with early onset dementia to have periods of clarity, Dr. Martinez explains to Marcus, not me. But the underlying progression continues regardless of how she feels in the moment. Dr. Martinez, can I ask you something directly? I lean forward, making sure my voice is clear and steady. What specific tests have you run to diagnose me with dementia? He flips through my file. The file I now know is full of lies. Well, we've been monitoring your symptoms based on your husband's detailed reports and your response to medication. What medication? I haven't been taking any medication. Marcus's hand finds my knee, squeezing gently. Honey, you take your pills every morning with breakfast. The white ones and the yellow one. Dr. Martinez, I'd like to take a cognitive assessment test right now. Whatever standard test you use to measure dementia symptoms. The doctor looks uncomfortable. Sarah, that's not really necessary at this point. I'm requesting it formally. As your patient, don't I have the right to understand my own diagnosis? Marcus's grip on my knee tightens. Sarah, you're getting agitated. This is what I was telling you about, Dr. Martinez. She becomes confrontational when she's having an episode. But I'm not agitated. My voice is calm, my questions are logical, and I can see Dr. Martinez starting to notice the disconnect between Marcus's description and my actual behavior. Perhaps we could do a brief assessment, he says slowly. Just to establish a baseline for tracking progression. The mini mental state examination takes 15 minutes. I answer every question perfectly, the date, the location, simple math problems, memory recall tasks. When Dr. Martinez tallies the score, his expression shifts. Sarah, you scored 30 out of 30. That's completely normal. The silence in the room is deafening. Marcus's hand has gone rigid on my knee. But that's impossible, Marcus says, his voice slightly strained. Just this morning she couldn't remember how to work the coffee maker. She asked me 3 times what day it was. I turned to look at my husband directly. Marcus, I made my own coffee this morning while you were in the shower. French press, 2 sugars, just like I have every day for 3 years. And I never asked you what day it was. Dr. Martinez is looking between us now, professional concern replacing his earlier dismissiveness. Marcus, when you say you've been observing symptoms, can you be more specific about what you've witnessed directly? Well, there was the incident where she got lost driving to her mother's house. When exactly was this? January 18th. She called me panicked from a parking lot. I pull out my phone and show Dr. Martinez my call log from January 18th. These are my phone records from that night. No calls to Marcus from any location except our house. Marcus's face is starting to flush. Sarah, your memory of that night isn't reliable. That's the whole point. Dr. Martinez, I say calmly, I'd like to request copies of all my medical records from your office. And I'd like to know which appointments I personally attended versus which appointments were just consultations with my husband. The doctor's expression is shifting from confusion to something that looks like alarm. Let me check our appointment logs. While he's typing, Marcus stands up abruptly. Sarah, I think we should go. You're clearly having one of your episodes, and this is stressing you out. I'm not stressed, Marcus. I'm thinking more clearly than I have in months. Dr. Martinez looks up from his computer. According to our records, Sarah, your last in-person appointment was in November for a routine physical. Every appointment since February has been consultations with Marcus alone. That's because she can't handle medical appointments anymore, Marcus says quickly. They trigger severe anxiety episodes. Marcus, I say, my voice still calm but carrying an edge now. I think we both know exactly what's been triggering my anxiety. The silence in Dr. Martinez's office stretches until it becomes unbearable. Marcus is standing frozen by his chair, and I can practically see him calculating his next move. The careful mask he's worn for months is starting to crack. Sarah, Dr. Martinez says carefully, I think we need to discuss what's been happening here. Marcus, can you explain why you've been reporting symptoms that Sarah says she hasn't experienced? Because she doesn't remember experiencing them, Marcus says, but his voice has lost that confident, caring tone. That's what early onset dementia does, it affects insight and memory formation. I stand up and walk to Dr. Martinez's desk, placing my phone on the surface. Doctor, I've been recording our conversations at home. Would you like to hear what Marcus told our neighbor about me putting salt in his coffee instead of sugar? Marcus goes completely still. Sarah, what are you doing? I'm playing the recording where you grimaced at your coffee, then deliberately added more salt when you thought I wasn't looking, just so you could show me the cup later and claim I made it wrong. Dr. Martinez's face is grave now. Marcus, I need to ask you directly, have you been fabricating Sarah's symptoms? This is ridiculous. My wife is having a paranoid episode. No, Marcus. I'm having a moment of clarity. I turn back to Dr. Martinez. Doctor, my husband has been collecting prescriptions in my name for medications I've never taken. He's forged my signature on medical authorization forms. He's stolen almost $20,000 from my bank account by claiming I'm incompetent to manage my finances. Marcus's carefully constructed world is collapsing in real time, and I can see panic replacing calculation in his eyes. Sarah, stop this. You're not well. I'm perfectly well. But you've been telling everyone I'm not because you needed me to seem sick. I pull up my bank app on my phone. Dr. Martinez, in March my savings account had $23,000. Today it has $4,300. Marcus has been transferring money to himself while telling my bank that I'm too confused to manage my own accounts. Dr. Martinez is taking notes furiously. Marcus, these are serious allegations. She's having a psychotic break, Marcus interrupts, his voice getting desperate. This is what I've been trying to tell you. The paranoid delusions, the accusations against family members. It's textbook. But his desperation is showing now, and it's not the desperation of a concerned husband. It's the desperation of someone whose elaborate con is unraveling. Doctor, I have a question, I say. How did Marcus first contact you about my supposed symptoms? Dr. Martinez flips through his files. He called in February, said he was concerned about some memory issues you'd been having. And did you suggest he bring me in for an evaluation? Yes, but he said you were resistant to medical appointments and became agitated when he suggested it. I nod. So instead, you agreed to treat a patient you'd never actually examined for dementia, based solely on her husband's reports of symptoms. The ethical implications of this are clearly hitting Dr. Martinez now. His face has gone pale. Marcus tries one more desperate play. Sarah, honey, I know you're scared and confused right now, but I'm trying to help you. Stop calling me confused. The words come out sharper than I intended, and for the first time in months, I let my real anger show. I am not confused, Marcus. I remember everything. I remember you practicing my signature. I remember you taking pictures of me crying so you could show people I was having episodes. I remember you putting something in my tea to make me drowsy so you could tell people I was declining rapidly. Marcus's face drains of color completely. Sarah, that's impossible. You're making this up. Am I? Then you won't mind if Dr. Martinez orders a blood test right now to check for any medications that shouldn't be in my system? The look of pure panic that crosses Marcus's face tells Dr. Martinez everything he needs to know. I think, Dr. Martinez says slowly, we need to contact some other people about this situation. The next 20 minutes feel like watching dominoes fall in slow motion. Dr. Martinez steps out to make phone calls while Marcus and I sit in his office in complete silence. I can see my husband's mind racing, trying to find a way to salvage this situation, but we both know it's over. When Dr. Martinez returns, he has a woman with him, tall, professional, carrying a briefcase. Sarah, this is Detective Lisa Chen from the Financial Crimes Unit. I've also contacted Adult Protective Services. Marcus finally speaks, his voice hollow. This is insane. You're all believing the paranoid delusions of a woman with documented dementia. Detective Chen sits across from us, pulling out a recording device. Mr. Thompson, Dr. Martinez has shared some concerning information about discrepancies in your wife's medical records. I'd like to ask you a few questions. I want a lawyer, Marcus says immediately. That's your right. But Sarah, I'd like to hear your side of this. For the next hour, I walk Detective Chen through everything, the forged signatures, the fake medical appointments, the missing money, the pills I've been pretending to take. I show her the recordings on my phone, the bank statements, the prescription bottles filled in my name for medications I never requested. Mrs. Thompson, how long do you believe this has been going on? I think it started small in January. Maybe he was just testing to see if he could convince people I was forgetful. But by February, he was scheduling fake medical appointments and by March he had access to my bank accounts. Detective Chen makes notes. And you have no memory issues whatsoever? None. I remember every conversation, every lie he told, every time he moved something and then pretended I lost it. The only times I felt genuinely confused were mornings after he'd given me tea or when I accidentally consumed something he tampered with. Marcus hasn't said another word, but I can see him listening intently to every detail I'm providing. Mr. Thompson, without your attorney present, I can't question you further. But I need to inform you that we'll be investigating potential charges of fraud, forgery, elder abuse, and financial exploitation. She's 28, Marcus says quietly. Adult abuse, Detective Chen corrects. Age isn't the determining factor, vulnerability is. And if you've been systematically convincing your wife and others that she's mentally incompetent when she's not, that creates artificial vulnerability. After they leave to get warrants for our financial records, I sit alone with Marcus in Dr. Martinez's office. The man I married, who I thought I knew completely, is staring at the floor. Why? I ask simply. He's quiet for so long I think he won't answer. Finally, your promotion in January. The bonus you got. I realized you were going to out-earn me by a lot, and my consulting business was failing. He looks up at me, and for the first time in months, I see the real Marcus, not the caring husband act. I started researching financial abuse cases. Medical incapacity was the cleanest way to gain control of assets without obvious theft. The clinical way he explains it chills me more than anything else he's done. You were going to have me institutionalized. High-end memory care. You would have been comfortable. While you spent my money and lived my life. He doesn't deny it. Dr. Martinez returns with forms for me to sign, requests for independent psychological evaluation, authorization to audit my medical records, consent for the police investigation. As I'm signing my real signature on legitimate documents for the first time in months, Marcus speaks one last time. Sarah, I do love you. This got out of hand, but it started because I love you. I look at him, really look at him, and realize I'm not angry anymore. I'm just tired. No, Marcus. It started because you thought I was stupid enough to believe I was losing my mind. And honestly? That's so much worse than not loving me. 3 days after the confrontation in Dr. Martinez's office, I'm sitting in my lawyer's office, my real lawyer, Patricia Wells, who I hired without telling anyone, when she delivers news that makes my stomach drop. Sarah, we have a problem. Marcus filed an emergency petition yesterday claiming you're having a psychiatric crisis. He's requesting immediate guardianship based on what he calls escalating paranoid delusions and threats of self-harm. I stare at her across the mahogany desk. Threats of self-harm? I never. He submitted a recording to the court. Your voice, apparently talking about not being able to go on like this and wanting it all to end. My mind races back through recent conversations, trying to place when I might have said something that could be twisted. Then it hits me. Saturday night. I was talking to Jenny about wanting this whole situation to end, the investigation, the lies, all of it. I said I couldn't go on living with the uncertainty of not knowing what evidence might surface. Patricia nods grimly. He edited it. The recording the court received is just fragments. I can't go on like this. I want it all to end. I don't know how much more I can take. Completely out of context, but convincing enough that Judge Harrison scheduled an emergency hearing for tomorrow morning. Can he do that? Even with a police investigation ongoing? Unfortunately, yes. If a spouse can demonstrate immediate danger to an allegedly incompetent person, the court can grant temporary guardianship pending a full evaluation. And Sarah, there's more. Marcus has 3 people willing to testify that you've been behaving erratically. She slides a legal document across the desk. I recognize the names immediately, Patricia from next door, my mother, and Dr. Martinez himself. Dr. Martinez is going to testify against me? After what happened in his office? According to this filing, he's going to testify that you exhibited sudden aggressive behavior and paranoid accusations during your last appointment. He's claiming that your cognitive test results were artificially elevated due to adrenaline and agitation, and that your accusations against Marcus represent a dangerous break from reality. I feel that familiar sensation of the ground shifting beneath me, except now I know it's not my sanity, it's Marcus still pulling strings I didn't even know existed. What about Detective Chen's investigation? Civil guardianship proceedings move faster than criminal investigations. If Marcus gets temporary guardianship tomorrow, he can have you committed for psychiatric evaluation before the fraud charges are even filed. The brilliant simplicity of it makes me nauseous. Marcus has turned my own evidence against me. By exposing his lies, I've made myself look paranoid. By standing up for myself, I've appeared aggressive and unstable. He's using the system's protective instincts to complete exactly what he started. Patricia leans forward. Sarah, I need you to understand what we're facing. If Judge Harrison grants this petition, Marcus will have legal authority to make all your medical and financial decisions. He can authorize psychiatric treatment, medication, even involuntary commitment. Including the medications I've been refusing to take? Especially those. A guardian can override a ward's medical decisions if they're deemed incompetent. I think about those pills I've been palming and flushing, donepezil and whatever else Marcus has been trying to give me. If he gets guardianship, he can have medical professionals administer them directly. There's something else, Patricia continues. Marcus's attorney filed a motion to freeze all your assets pending the guardianship determination. As of this morning, you can't access your bank accounts, and any large expenditures, including my legal fees, can be challenged as evidence of impaired judgment. The trap is perfect. I can't hire adequate legal representation because accessing money to pay for it proves I'm mentally unstable. I can't defend myself without appearing defensive and paranoid. Every move I make to protect myself becomes evidence that I need protection for myself. Patricia, what happens if I just run? Leave town until the criminal investigation is complete. Fleeing would be the worst possible thing you could do. It would confirm every allegation Marcus has made about your instability and impaired judgment. My phone buzzes with a text from Jenny. Marcus is here. He has papers from the court and 2 men with him. Says he's legally required to ensure you're safe until tomorrow's hearing. What do? I show Patricia the message. Her face goes pale. That's not legal. The hearing hasn't happened yet. But we both know that doesn't matter. Marcus has spent months convincing everyone that I can't be trusted to understand my own condition. If he shows up with official-looking documents and concerned authority figures, who's going to question him? He's forcing the situation, I realize. If I resist going with him, it looks like I'm having an episode. If I comply, he has control of me until the hearing. Patricia is already dialing. I'm calling the police to clarify that no court order is currently in effect. But when she hangs up, her expression tells me everything I need to know. The responding officer is someone Marcus spoke with during his initial petition filing. He's been told you're potentially dangerous to yourself and that your family is concerned about your mental state. Marcus has been planning this for longer than I realized. Every conversation, every person he's spoken with about my condition, every seed of doubt he's planted, it was all building to this moment where the entire system would work together to protect me from myself. My phone rings. Marcus. Sarah, sweetheart, I know you're scared and confused right now, but I have some people here who want to make sure you're safe tonight. Can you come home so we can talk? I look at Patricia, who nods reluctantly. If I don't go willingly, they'll come get me, and resistance will be documented as evidence of my instability. I'll be there in 20 minutes, Marcus. That's my girl. Everything's going to be okay. I promise. As I hang up, I realize that Marcus's promises have become threats, and tomorrow morning I'll be fighting for my freedom in front of a judge who's already been convinced I'm not competent enough to understand what I'm losing. When I arrive home, there are 2 cars in my driveway I don't recognize, a silver sedan and a white SUV with Crisis Intervention Services printed on the side in small, discreet letters. My hands shake as I turn off my engine, knowing that walking through my front door might be the last free choice I make for a very long time. Marcus opens the door before I can knock, flanked by a woman in her 50s wearing a clipboard and a kind but professional smile, and a man in khakis who looks like he's done this dance 1,000 times before. Sarah, this is Linda from Family Crisis Support and David, a mental health advocate. They're here to help us navigate this difficult situation. Linda steps forward with that practiced compassion I've learned to fear. Mrs. Thompson, your husband has expressed some concerns about your well-being. We're just here to make sure you're safe and comfortable tonight. Am I free to leave if I want to? The pause before she answers tells me everything. Sarah, we'd prefer if you stayed here tonight where your support system can keep an eye on you. Tomorrow's hearing will clarify everyone's legal standing. David pulls out a folder of documents. We've prepared some temporary arrangements for your care. Nothing permanent, just until the court can make a proper determination. I scan the papers quickly. They're requesting that I voluntarily admit myself to a 72-hour psychiatric evaluation at Riverside Mental Health Facility, the same place Marcus had researched for high-end memory care. If I sign voluntarily, it looks cooperative. If I refuse, they can petition for involuntary commitment based on Marcus's evidence of my deteriorating mental state. What if I want my own psychiatric evaluation? From a doctor I choose? Marcus exchanges a look with Linda. Honey, Dr. Rodriguez at Riverside specializes in cases exactly like yours. She's reviewed your medical history and is prepared to help. My medical history. The fake file that Marcus and Dr. Martinez created, full of symptoms I never reported and medications I never took. Can I call my sister first? Of course, Linda says. Family support is crucial during times like this. But when I dial Jenny's number, it goes straight to voicemail, unusual for her. I try my mother next. Same thing. Patricia's office line has an automated message saying they're closed for the evening. Marcus notices my confusion. I asked everyone to give us some space tonight so you wouldn't feel overwhelmed by too many people checking on you. The isolation is so smooth, so considerate sounding, that Linda and David don't even blink. But I understand exactly what's happening. Marcus has spent the day managing the narrative, asking my support system to stay away for my own good while he finalizes his control. Sarah, David says gently, I want you to know that signing this voluntary evaluation form doesn't mean anyone thinks you're crazy. It just means we want to make sure you're getting the right kind of help. I stare at the form, knowing that my signature will complete Marcus's plan. Once I'm in psychiatric hold, he can claim I'm too unstable to participate meaningfully in my own guardianship hearing. Dr. Rodriguez will have access to the falsified medical records showing months of cognitive decline. Any protests I make will be filtered through the assumption that I lack insight into my condition. But I also know that refusing to sign will trigger an immediate involuntary commitment proceeding. Marcus will play the recording of Mike's suicidal statements, Dr. Martinez will testify about my paranoid episode, and Patricia the neighbor will describe my increasingly erratic behavior. I need to use the bathroom before I decide anything, I say finally. Once alone, I quickly text my location and situation to every contact in my phone, at home with crisis intervention team. Being pressured to sign voluntary psych eval. Marcus has guardianship hearing tomorrow. If you don't hear from me by noon tomorrow, call Patricia Wells attorney 555-0147. I hit send on 15 identical messages, hoping that someone, somewhere, is still getting their phone calls. When I return to the living room, Linda is reviewing something on her tablet while Marcus looks more anxious than I've seen him since this started. Sarah, he says carefully, Linda has been explaining that the evaluation is really more like a wellness check. 3 days to make sure your medications are properly balanced and that you're not feeling overwhelmed by everything that's been happening. 3 days. Long enough for the criminal investigation to stall, for people to forget the details of my accusations, for Marcus to legally cement his position as my guardian and caretaker. I look at my husband one more time, this man who has systematically destroyed my credibility, my relationships, and my independence while convincing everyone he was saving me. And then I pick up the pen. I hold the pen over the signature line, feeling everyone's eyes on me. Linda's expectant smile, David's practiced patience, Marcus's barely contained anticipation. 3 signatures away from losing everything I've fought to protect. Actually, I say, setting the pen down, I'd like to read through this more carefully first. It's a big decision. Marcus's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. Sarah, you're overthinking this. We've already discussed. When did we discuss it, Marcus? Because I don't remember that conversation. I look directly at Linda. Isn't it interesting that my husband keeps telling me I've forgotten conversations that apparently only he remembers? Linda shifts uncomfortably. Mrs. Thompson, memory inconsistencies are exactly why we want to make sure you get proper evaluation. My phone buzzes. Then buzzes again. Multiple notifications lighting up the screen. David glances at it. Popular tonight. Maybe you should put that away so we can focus. But I can see the preview text from my cousin Rachel. Sarah, what's happening? Got your message. Calling police now. Another buzz. My coworker Lisa, on my way over. Don't sign anything. Marcus notices my phone lighting up repeatedly and his face goes pale. Sarah, who did you contact? Everyone. I stand up, clutching my phone. 15 people, Marcus. I told them exactly where I am and exactly what you're trying to do. Linda looks confused. Mrs. Thompson, if you're reaching out to multiple people in crisis, that actually supports our concern about your current mental state. No, it supports my concern about my husband's lies. I turn to David. Did Marcus tell you I've been diagnosed with early onset dementia? He shared your medical history, yes. By a doctor who admits he never actually examined me. Based on symptoms reported solely by Marcus. Would you like to hear the recording of me scoring perfectly on a cognitive assessment 3 days ago? I pull up the audio file on my phone. Dr. Martinez's voice fills the room. Sarah, you scored 30 out of 30. That's completely normal. The silence stretches uncomfortably. Linda and David exchange glances. Marcus recovers first. That test was meaningless. She was having one of her lucid periods. Stop. My voice cuts through his explanation. David, Linda, I need you both to understand something. Every single symptom Marcus has reported about me, every episode, every confusion, every concerning behavior, I remember differently. And I have evidence. I scroll through my phone, showing them the bank records, the prescription bottles for medications I never requested, the call logs disproving Marcus's stories about my episodes. Mrs. Thompson, Linda says carefully, these kinds of detailed records and conspiracy theories are sometimes indicative of paranoid. Call Detective Chen. I interrupt, pulling up her contact information. Financial Crimes Unit. She's investigating Marcus for fraud and forgery. Call her right now and ask about the evidence I provided. David looks at Marcus. Is there an ongoing criminal investigation? Marcus's composure finally cracks completely. Sarah's accusations triggered a preliminary inquiry, but that doesn't mean. It means, I say firmly, that there's enough evidence of his lies that the police are treating this as a potential crime. And now he's trying to have me declared incompetent before those charges can be filed. My phone rings. Jenny's name on the screen. Sarah. Lisa called me. Are you okay? I'm 5 minutes away with Mom and Patricia Wells. I put her on speaker before anyone can object. I'm okay, Jen. There are crisis intervention people here trying to get me to sign voluntary psychiatric commitment papers. Jesus Christ, Sarah, don't sign anything. Patricia Wells says Marcus doesn't have any legal authority yet and what he's doing right now might actually be criminal intimidation. Linda and David both look genuinely shocked now. David pulls out his own phone. I need to call my supervisor. If there are questions about the legitimacy of this intervention. There's no question, Marcus says desperately. My wife is having a psychiatric emergency. The recordings, the paranoid accusations, the elaborate conspiracy theories. The recordings you edited, I interrupt. The accusations that police are investigating. The theories that are being proven true. Car doors slam outside. Through the window, I can see Jenny, my mother, and a woman I recognize as Patricia Wells walking up the driveway with determined expressions. Marcus sees them too. For the first time since this nightmare started, he looks genuinely panicked. Sarah, he says quietly, please don't do this. We can work things out privately. You don't need to destroy everything we've built together. I look at him, this man who tried to steal my mind, my money, my freedom, my entire life, and I finally understand that everything we built together was just another lie he told better than most. Marcus, I say as the doorbell rings, we never built anything together. You just made me think we did while you tore down everything I actually was. The next few hours blur together in a series of heated conversations, legal phone calls, and Marcus growing increasingly desperate as his carefully constructed house of cards finally collapses completely. Patricia Wells takes control of the situation immediately, informing Linda and David that their services aren't needed since no valid court order exists requiring my supervision. She's brought copies of Detective Chen's preliminary findings, evidence that Marcus forged my signature on multiple documents and has been impersonating me to medical professionals. Mr. Thompson, Patricia says crisply, I need to inform you that continuing to misrepresent your wife's mental state to crisis intervention services could constitute additional criminal charges of filing false reports and abuse of emergency services. Marcus tries one final desperate play. You're all enabling someone who's clearly in the middle of a psychotic break. When she hurts herself, it'll be on your heads. But my mother, who's been suspiciously quiet, suddenly speaks up. Marcus, I need to ask you something. When you called me in March to tell me about Sarah's diagnosis, you said she'd gotten lost driving to my house. Marcus nods eagerly. Yes, she was completely disoriented. But Marcus, Mom continues, her voice getting steadier, Sarah hasn't driven to my house since Christmas. I always come here for our visits because of my hip surgery recovery. You know that. The silence is deafening. Even Linda and David are staring at Marcus now with open suspicion. And another thing, Mom adds, gaining momentum. You said Sarah didn't recognize her father at Sunday dinner in April. But Marcus, we haven't had Sunday dinner since February because Dad started his new blood pressure medication and can't eat large meals in the evening anymore. Marcus opens his mouth but no sound comes out. Jenny pulls out her phone. And I have something too. Marcus, remember when you sent me that photo of Sarah having a panic attack about the coffee maker? I reverse searched the image. It was taken in December, and when I asked Sarah about it today, she remembered exactly why she was crying. It was the morning she couldn't find Grandma's sapphire ring. The ring you sold, I add quietly, to pay for your gambling debts. The ring I spent hours looking for while you took pictures of me crying to use as evidence later. Marcus's face has gone ashen. That's not. I didn't. Marcus, Patricia Wells says, consulting her notes, according to financial records Detective Chen provided me, you've withdrawn $47,000 from Sarah's accounts over the past 6 months. There are also credit card charges totaling $23,000 at various casinos. Would you like to explain how a woman allegedly suffering from dementia has been unknowingly funding your gambling addiction? The room feels like all the oxygen has been sucked out. Marcus sinks into the chair, his head in his hands. The business loan fell through in December, he says finally, his voice barely audible. I thought I could win back what I'd already lost, just to buy time until another opportunity came along. But it got worse, and the debts kept growing, and Sarah got that promotion. So you decided to steal my entire life instead of just admitting you needed help? I ask. He looks up at me with tears in his eyes, real tears this time, not the performative emotion he's been displaying for months. I couldn't lose you, Sarah. If you knew how much money I'd lost, how deep the hole was. So instead you tried to convince me I was losing my mind. Marcus doesn't deny it anymore. He just sits there, looking smaller and more pathetic than I ever imagined possible. Detective Chen arrives 20 minutes later to arrest him. 6 months later, I'm sitting in Judge Harrison's courtroom for the final hearing, watching Marcus get sentenced for fraud, forgery, financial exploitation, and what the prosecutor called one of the most elaborate cases of psychological abuse she'd ever seen. Mr. Thompson, Judge Harrison says, his voice carrying the weight of genuine disgust, you systematically attempted to destroy your wife's autonomy, her relationships, and her sense of reality for financial gain. The court finds your actions particularly heinous given the intimate trust required to execute such manipulation. Marcus gets 4 years in state prison, plus restitution of $73,000, every penny he stole, plus interest and penalties. His gambling addiction isn't accepted as mitigation. If anything, Judge Harrison notes that it makes his crimes more calculated, not less. The criminal case was almost anticlimactic after everything unraveled that night in my living room. Detective Chen's investigation found forged signatures on dozens of documents, recorded calls to my bank where Marcus impersonated me, and pharmacy surveillance footage of him picking up prescriptions in my name. Dr. Martinez lost his medical license for treating a patient he'd never properly examined based on falsified symptom reports. But the real victory happened 3 months ago, when I walked into my old office for the first time since Marcus had secretly put me on medical leave. My supervisor Janet stared at me like she'd seen a ghost. Sarah? But Marcus said you were in long-term care now, that your condition had deteriorated. My condition, I told her, is that I'm perfectly healthy and would like my job back. It took 2 weeks of meetings with HR, independent medical evaluations, and legal documentation proving Marcus had forged the medical leave paperwork, but I got my position back with full back pay. The promotion I'd earned in January was still waiting for me, apparently they'd held it open in case of a miracle recovery. Jenny helped me move into a new apartment downtown, a bright corner unit with huge windows and space for the art studio I'd always wanted but Marcus said we couldn't afford. Turns out we could have afforded it easily if he hadn't been spending $4,000 a month at the Riverside Casino. The hardest part wasn't rebuilding my life, it was rebuilding my ability to trust my own mind. Even knowing that Marcus had manipulated everything, I still found myself second-guessing my memories, still feeling that old familiar doubt creep in when I misplaced my keys or forgot someone's name. Dr. Sarah Hendricks, the therapist I found on my own, says that's normal. Gaslighting rewires your brain, she explained. Recovery means learning to trust yourself again. Mom apologized approximately 1,000 times for believing Marcus's stories, but I don't blame her. His lies were sophisticated, consistent, and designed to exploit exactly the kind of loving concern that makes families want to protect each other. He was so convincing, she keeps saying. And we just wanted to help you. Patricia Wells helped me file a civil lawsuit against Marcus for the emotional distress and professional damage his scheme caused. We settled out of court for an amount that let me take 6 months off work to focus on recovery and figuring out who I was when I wasn't constantly defending my own sanity. The most surreal part is how many people have reached out since the story made the local news. Apparently, medical gaslighting by intimate partners is more common than anyone talks about. I've heard from 12 other women whose husbands tried variations of Marcus's scheme, fake dementia diagnoses, fabricated mental health crises, forged medical documents. One woman's husband convinced her entire family she had early-onset Parkinson's for 2 years before she figured it out. Today, walking out of the courthouse after Marcus's sentencing, I feel something I haven't experienced in over a year, complete confidence in my own mind. I remember everything clearly, not just the abuse, but the person I was before it started. The woman who got promoted at 27, who never forgot important dates, who could navigate anywhere without GPS, who trusted her own thoughts and feelings. That woman was never sick. She was just married to someone who needed her to be. As I drive home, taking the route I've always known by heart, I think about the last thing Marcus said to me in court. I'm sorry, Sarah. I really did love you. And for the first time, I can respond with absolute clarity. No, Marcus. You love the idea of controlling me. There's a difference. My phone buzzes with a text from Jenny. Dinner tonight? I'm making your actual favorite, Thai takeout and wine, not whatever Marcus convinced us you liked. I smile, knowing exactly who I am and what I want. Perfect, I text back. I'll bring dessert. The kind with chocolate. I remember now that I'm not allergic.